Holidays are coming, holidays are coming. 'Tis the season, watch out, look around, something's coming.
8 days to go, and we continue on with the PoE2 passive tree videos. I went to a PoE2 event in LA a few weeks back and was able to capture some of the passive skill tree, and I'm covering some of the most interesting nodes for each section of the tree. Today it's the strength and intelligence area of the tree, and this is the only class start location where no classes will be starting at the launch of early access, as both the Druid and Templar won't be playable just yet. We're starting with Bolstering Presence, which is right outside the class start location. 20% increased effect of auras from your skills. Now we know that auras in PoE2 are going to be a lot more support focused compared to PoE1. A good example of this is the Discipline aura, which at level 19 adds 38% of your maximum mana as maximum energy shield to nearby allies, but has no effect on your character. Importantly, the increased effects from Bolstering Presence wouldn't improve the aura-like effects on scepters such as those ones listed here, as this notable only increases the effect of auras from skills specifically. Just outside of the starting location is Resolution, which grants a chunk of increased stun threshold, but perhaps more importantly grants 10% increased global defenses. This stat is very rare in PoE1 because it applies to all basic defense types. That's armor, evasion, energy shield, and ward. We don't know if ward will exist in PoE2, but a typical build in this area of the tree will likely have some investment into both armor and energy shield, so this will be a decent pickup. And on the topic of armor and energy shield, Reinforced Barrier is close by. This one grants 20% increased maximum ES, and also makes it so that you defend with 120% of your armor while you're not on low energy shield. It seems that low in PoE2 might have been changed from PoE1, and maybe 30% of a resource rather than the 50% that it was in PoE1, according to Jonathan's Infernalist introduction in the reveal livestream, which would improve this node a little bit too, as you'll be above low ES more often. So when you're not on low energy shield, this modifier would essentially act as a 20% more multiplier to your armor for the purpose of mitigating incoming hits. Calibration is found towards the outer edge of the tree and grants 30% increased maximum energy shield and 5% increased maximum mana. This is a decent node for any ES based build, and it's even better if you're also stacking mana. Covering Ward provides 25% increased energy shield recharge rate, but also grants a small chance to proc energy shield recharge when you block. This node will be great on a build using active block, being able to bring up your shield and block some hits after taking damage, with the potential for one of those blocked hits to force recharge to start so that you can recover that lost ES. And when you're able to proc that recharge, you can improve how much energy shield is recovered over time using Adamant recovery, which is found on the outer edge of the tree. This one provides more synergy for builds scaling armor and energy shield together, making increases and reductions to armor also apply to energy shield recharge rate at 40% of their value, essentially boosting the value of any increased armor modifiers you can obtain. Alright, let's check out a few minion nodes in this area of the tree. Fleshcrafting on the outer edge of the tree makes minions gain 15% of their maximum life as extra maximum ES. That's a generally good node to beef up your minions and keep them alive longer. But if they're a permanent minion, they'll revive automatically a short while after dying, and the Restless dead node will help out with that. Minions revive 25% faster. Minions that reserve spirit will automatically revive as long as no other minions have died in the last 4 seconds, and this node would shorten that window so that they have less downtime. Now look at this crazy cluster here, this spiral themed cluster. There's 3 notables here, and each of them require 4 points to path into the notable. Spiral into Insanity is going to be great for most chaos damage builds, whilst Spiral into Depression should be useful for a decent amount of builds in this area of the tree, providing a boost to armor and ES, and a small boost to movement speed as well. Spiral into Mania does seem like the odd one out here, as it appears to be a bit weak, but do keep in mind that cast speed is generally more difficult to obtain than it was in PoE1. However, the awkward access to this cluster may make these nodes a bit unfavourable with how many points you're required to spend to reach them. Okay, let's take a look at a few totem nodes, beginning with Supportive Ancestors, which provides 25% increased damage while you have a totem summoned, and grants totems 2% increased cast speed and 2% increased attack speed per summoned totem that you have. As of right now, the passive tree only really has support for attack totems, as they're the only ones we can really use at the moment. The spell totem support is likely to come whenever the Templar makes its way into the game, but there are a few notables in the strength area of the tree that grant +1 to the maximum limit for attack totems, allowing you to summon more totems, which would improve the effectiveness of this node. But you could instead make use of Ancestral Bond, a returning keystone from PoE1 that has been changed quite significantly. It now removes the limit on the amount of totems you can summon, but makes it so that each active totem reserves 100 spirit. This keystone will open up a different way to scale totem builds via investment into spirit. Interestingly, when this one was first leaked, it was 50 spirit per summoned totem, and it's now 100, so 50 was likely a bit too low after their internal testing. But the number on this keystone needs to be just right, because all of these builds using this keystone will be foregoing the use of powerful persistent buffs to be able to use more totems, and I think this will be fairly difficult for them to balance. Zealot's Oath is another returning keystone from PoE1, and this one is also significantly changed. This keystone makes excess life recovery from regeneration be applied to Energy Shield, whilst preventing Energy Shield from recharging. Excess refers to any recovery that exists while life is full, so when life is full, that recovery goes to work on your Energy Shield instead. However, this node doesn't apply regeneration modifiers directly to Energy Shield like it did in PoE1. Instead, the actual recovery amount is applied, and that's important because it means that percentage-based life regeneration modifiers still scale from your life, making this node considerably weaker with Chaos Inoculation, outside the use of flat regen modifiers. Another important note here is that Zealot's Oath specifically stops your Energy Shield from recharging, so it has some synergy with Eternal Youth, which makes life recharge instead of ES. Okay, the best is saved till last, of course, and it's Ancient Aegis, found on the outside edge of the tree. Recover Energy Shield equal to 1% of armor when you block. So this is the modifier on Aegis Aurora from PoE1, at half of its value, but even at half of the value, this is still extremely strong. Not to mention the fact that active block exists in PoE2, allowing you to pretty much guarantee some blocked hits to be able to recover Energy Shield quickly. We don't really know just yet how much armor an average character will be able to obtain in the endgame, but if it's half or even a third of what we have in PoE1, this node is going to be quite useful indeed. And there you have it, some of the more interesting nodes in the Strength Intelligence aligned portion of the PoE2 passive skill tree. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, stay tuned and stay safe.